What happens when a guy dies in an accident and chooses to get a bunch of overpowered abilities in his next life? Let's find out. A god accidentally caused Kelvin Celsius's death, so the goddess of reincarnation gave him a new life in another world. In exchange for losing all his past memories, Kelvin got powerful new skills. He wakes up in a forest and finds a message from the goddess explaining his new world and abilities. Discovering he's a summoner, Kelvin heads to a nearby town to register as an adventurer. To avoid attention, he calls himself a green mage instead. For his first quest, he hunts blue slimes. Using his appraisal eye, he studies them and tries to weaken one with a wooden rod. After some struggle, he successfully makes a contract with a slime and names it Clotho. They team up to defeat more monsters and earn some gold. Back in town, Kelvin notices a slave trader selling a half-elf but moves on. He stays at an inn, eats, and continues monster hunting with Clotho the next day. At the Adventurers Guild, Kelvin learns he's been promoted to E rank. The receptionist, Ange, warns him not to take higher-level missions alone, since he still hides that he's a summoner. She advises him to upgrade his gear before trying for D rank. Soon after, a D rank adventurer named Cashel suggests they both take on a quest to defeat the Black Ghost Knight. When Cashel tries to recruit him, Kelvin declines, and instead challenges him to see who can finish the quest first. Cashel plans to ambush Kelvin with his shady teammates, but Kelvin sets traps in the castle where the monster resides. Using his skills and his evolved slime, Clotho, he defeats Cashel's group. He then faces the Black Ghost Knight, whose real name is Gerard. After learning about Gerard's tragic past, Kelvin duels and defeats him, forming a contract with him. The next day, Kelvin reports back, hears Cashel's team was arrested, and gets called up for another promotion. Kelvin meets Leo, the Guildmaster of Parth, who congratulates him for defeating the Black Ghost Knight and exposing Cashel. During their talk, Leo asks if Kelvin is a summoner. After some hesitation, Kelvin admits it, and asks why Leo never acted against Cashel. Leo explains that Cashel was a noble from the Tryson nation and couldn't be punished without proof. Leo then says he's met otherworlders before, the heroes of the Holy Empire Deramis, and wants Kelvin to help protect the town in their absence. Kelvin agrees after hearing the rewards offered. Later, the innkeeper Claire congratulates him for reaching B rank. Curious about the heroes, Kelvin asks Melfina for details, then decides to buy a new party member. He returns to the slave market and purchases a cursed half-elf named Ephil. Using his magic, he breaks her curse, and the two start working together. That night, they end up sharing a room, leaving Kelvin too flustered to sleep. A month after buying Ephil, Kelvin helps her train in the dark purple forest by defeating monsters and improving her skills. After reporting their success at the guild, Ange tells them one more quest will let them take the rank-up exam. She then invites Ephil for sweets, dragging Kelvin along. At the cafe, Ephil feeds Kelvin cake, causing a small scene, which grows bigger when the rude Prince Tabra and his guards interrupt. When Tabra insults them and demands Ephil, Kelvin quickly defeats his guards and uses magic to put the prince in his place. Later that night, Ephil thanks Kelvin and they share a quiet talk. The next day, Leo informs Kelvin about a new quest, exploring the Hermit's Cave, where a sealed demon was found. Kelvin, Ephil, and Gerard investigate and meet the archdemon Victor, who reveals the chained woman is the demon lord's daughter. Victor plans to absorb their power, but as Kelvin grins in excitement, it's clear he's ready for another tough fight. Kelvin excitedly faces Victor, who summons a group of demons using dark magic. Kelvin and Gerard team up to defeat them, but Victor hides and tries to attack from behind. Kelvin senses him and counters with his magic, while Ephil joins in with a blaze arrow, burning Victor's arm. Gerard finishes by cutting off the other one. Victor powers himself up with a dark spell, forcing the group to fight harder. Working together, Kelvin, Ephil, Gerard, and Clotho unleash a combo attack that finally defeats him. Before passing out, Victor admits he only lied about eating the demon girl, Sarah, to make them fight seriously. He reveals he was her guardian, protecting her until the right time. After freeing Sarah, Kelvin brings her back to town, disguising her with a hairpin. He reports the mission and is promoted to rank A. Later, the group celebrates at the inn as Sarah quietly starts adjusting to her new life. Kelvin officially makes Sarah one of his tamed companions. He and Ephil show off their new S-rank gear. Gerard gets a new sword, while Sarah's weapon, Arendite, is made from Victor's armor. Later, during a wagon trip to Taraj, the group is attacked by the Black Wind Bandits. Kelvin lets Sarah handle them alone and she easily defeats them all. When they reach Taraj, Kelvin notices the place looks like old Japan. Sarah happily asks him to teach her how to swim, remembering Victor's promise. At the guild, they meet the guildmaster Mist, who explains that the bandits are secretly working for Tryson and can't be dealt with openly. Kelvin decides to handle it himself. That night, Kelvin's party raids the bandits' base and rescues the captured slaves. They defeat the bandit leaders with ease, and soon after, the heroes of Deramis arrive, only to find Kelvin's group already waiting for them. The heroes of Deramis confront Kelvin's group, accusing them of being the Black Wind Bandits. Kelvin jokingly plays along and challenges them to fight. Hey, if he wins, they'll testify against the real criminals. The heroes agree and they move to an open area for the battle. Kelvin fights alone while his team watches. He uses a new item, the Skill Eater, made from Victor's armor, which lets him copy Miyabi's ability. The heroes attack together, using magic and teamwork, but Kelvin blocks, counters, and experiments with new spells. After an intense exchange, he defeats them all using his new technique, Radiant Crossfire. When the fight ends, Toya and his team realize Kelvin isn't their enemy. He explains the truth and Toya apologizes. Kelvin accepts and reminds them to keep their promise about clearing his name. Everyone ends things on friendly terms, though slightly embarrassed when asked to strip for inspection. Kelvin, Mist, and a guild receptionist watch Luca, her mother, and other freed slaves leave on a wagon. Mist then asks Kelvin what he'll do next, and he says he has a fun punishment game to take care of. Meanwhile, the heroes of Deramis struggle against a giant octopus in a cave, while Kelvin and his group watch and relax nearby. After the heroes finally win, everyone enjoys a picnic together and chats about how the heroes were summoned to this world. When Sarah accidentally fishes up a powerful dragon, Kelvin tests the heroes by asking how they'd handle such a threat. Satisfied with their answer, he helps Sarah defeat it. Later, Kelvin's group meets Queen Tsubaki of Taraj, who thanks them and offers a reward. Kelvin simply asks for rice, which amuses her. After a small feast, she lets them use the teleport gate home. Back in Parth, Kelvin's group buys a house, hires Luca and her mother as helpers, and Melfina finally appears in her new human form. Melfina enjoys Eiffel's cooking and jokes about how hard it was to find Kelvin. When Gerard asks who she is, she introduces herself and later asks everyone to call her Mel to keep things simple. She also gives Kelvin a special blessing that prevents him from dying once a month and allows him to summon heroes. Later, Mel and Sarah spar while the others watch. Afterward, they relax in the bath and talk about how Kelvin seems deep in thought lately. Mel guesses it's because he's worried about his new hero summoning ability. That night, Kelvin decides to try it. With Mel's help, he performs a reincarnation summon, bringing a girl named Rio into the world. Both of them faint from exhaustion. The next day, Rio wakes up, explores outside, and meets Kelvin. They share their stories, and Rio, grateful for her new life, asks to join his party. Kelvin agrees, and they decide to call each other Brother Kel and Ryan. Kelvin wakes up at night to find Sarah, Mel, and Ryan sleeping beside him. Though surprised, he's glad they're comfortable around him. The next day, Kelvin takes Ryan and the others to the dark purple forest to train. Using his experience share technique, he lets them gain levels while he fights monsters inside the dungeon. When a shadow wolf appears, Kelvin defeats and tames it, naming it Alex. Ryan quickly bonds with the wolf and learns she can understand animals. Later, Erd's party arrives to hunt monsters for their rank-up exam, but they end up leaving after meeting Kelvin's group. That night, Sarah senses assassins surrounding their mansion. Kelvin confirms they're linked to Kristoff and Tryson. Seeing this as a chance for Ryan to practice, he lets her and Alex handle them, while he and Sarah watch. After the intruders are defeated, the group cleans up. Meanwhile, in Tryson, Emperor Zell discusses the fallout from Kristoff's scandal, and his generals argue over whether to go to war. Kelvin's group rides through Crest Forest toward an elven village. Aphil feels familiar with the area, which Kelvin attributes to her elven blood. Sarah finds it strange that elves live on the eastern continent, and Mel explains that some migrated from the western continent over a decade ago and are now under Gon's protection. A flashback shows Guildmaster Leo warning Kelvin about tensions between Tryson and Gon, predicting a future war. Leo gives Kelvin a special quest from King Leonhard of Gon, who wants to meet him. Back in the present, Kelvin notes he needs both King Leonhardt's and Queen Tsubaki's approval for his S-rank promotion. The group's task is to defend the village from an S-rank monster, possibly linked to Tryson. They're briefly stopped by elven archers, but are cleared by Nelras, the village elder, who recognizes Eifil as Rumil. Nelras explains the village's history and how a fire dragon destroyed part of it, taking Lumil, who may have been Eifil's mother, away. Monsters now kidnap elves who bypass the village barrier. Kelvin and the group agree to help and make minor fortifications. Mel creates mist around the village. Sarah conjures a black magic moat, and Gerard guards the entry. That night, Tryson's soldiers lead an ambush, but Ethel snipes them using her shadow bow while Kelvin provides recon. A gigant lord appears at the enemy camp, giving Ryan a chance to prove herself. With Clotho and Alex's help, she defeats it, revealing its true form as the Furnace Lord, which she also takes down. Back at the village, General Clive and his soldiers launch an attack on Kelvin and Aphil. General Clive hovers near Kelvin and Eifil with 4 soldiers, trying to charm Eifil into becoming his slave. Kelvin immediately attacks, declaring she's off limits. He appraises Clive and discovers he's also a reincarnated person. After sending Eiffel into stealth, Kelvin turns the mountain he's on into 4 obsidian javelins, but Clive blocks them with his helix barrier. His charmed soldiers attack Kelvin, claiming they serve him willingly because he's handsome. Eiffel breaks Clive's barrier with an arrow and Kelvin summons 4 golems. Clive has his soldiers deal with the golems while he fights Kelvin. During the fight, Kelvin breaks Clive's barrier and scars his face, though Clive shatters Kelvin's staff, which Clotho devours. Clive then casts Tempest Barrier, creating a violent windstorm, but Kelvin powers up his Blackstaff Disaster S and destroys the barrier, slicing the top of a mountain and Clive's legs. Before finishing him, Kelvin is interrupted by General Phase, who reveals he masterminded the attack on the Elven village. Phase refuses to hand over Clive, and Kelvin calls the fight a tie, returning to the village to recover. Back at the village, they celebrate with a banquet. Eiffel gives Kelvin her mother's medallion, which he attaches to her hair. She pledges to serve him for life, and he happily accepts. Leonhart Gone, disguised as a little elf girl, informs Kelvin that he passed his S-rank exam with the official promotion ceremony and mock battles in 4 days. Kelvin is excited for the upcoming challenges. This is where the story ends for now. Subscribe to see the next part. See ya!